Now, let me ask you this, because we're in the biggest crisis in terms of immigration, in terms of national discussion, the biggest discussion of it that I can ever remember. Right now, with this wall shit, where the government is completely shut down and no one's budging on either side, and all these government workers are not getting paid, and it's all because Trump wants $5 billion for this wall. Let's just, in an ideal world, it would be ideal if the way the world worked was the way America works, where you could just go wherever you want. That'd be the ideal world. If the whole world was America, in the sense of, you can go to New Mexico. You don't have to get paperwork signed. You don't have to. No one has to tell you whether or not you're allowed to go visit or not go visit. Yeah. You can just drive there. That's a nice thing about America. It's almost like Europe, but you don't need a passport. Not in it's like Europe. I know you guys have been around longer and all that good stuff. That's not what I mean. I mean in terms of there's a bunch of different feels.
Yeah.
It's all speaking one language, but there's a big difference between visiting Montana and visiting Miami. You know, if you go to Billings, Montana, and hang out with the local folk at a coffee shop, and then you go to some fucking crazy after hours party in Miami on Miami Beach at 4 a.m, and P. Diddy shows up, and fucking, you know, and there's all these celebrities, and people are doing coke on the floor, and like, what the fuck is this? This is a different world.
Yeah,
this is a different world, and there's a bunch of these different worlds. New York City's a different world. You know, LA is a different world. You're allowed to go there. Wouldn't it be great if the whole world was like that? You could just kind of go wherever you wanted to go, and it would all sort itself out. The idea is you can't, because it would fuck up our quality of life and would make us less safe. And I get the argument. Certainly, you don't want to bring in criminals and murderers. You don't want drug dealers making their way into this country and starting gang violence and all that stuff. Yes, you're absolutely right. And to deny that, I think is pretty fucking foolish.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of like...
There's a lot to it.
It's a fluid. The border is always going to be fluid, and it needs to be fluid. You know, we need the immigrant spirit of coming in, and a lot of them do start small businesses when, you know, and again, when they're brought in legally. And so how do you create a flow of people that is good for us? Because they say most of the immigrants that come here are the smartest, sharpest people, most driven in wherever they're from. So we're actually drawing a really good, you know, they talk so much about the criminals, but the truth is most of them that are coming over here are the ones that probably have the most to offer to this country.
Well, exactly like our parents' generation, like our grandparents, like my grandparents. Like, when did your grandparents come over here? Was it your grandparents or your great-grandparents?
1910, my grandparents.
Yeah, mine as well.
My grandfather was one of 13, and 12 of them came over here.
Oh, my God.
And they lived in a 2-room fucking mud hut. Somehow they kept finding the money to send one kid over at a time, like usually when they were about 15.
Holy
Crazy.
Shit.
Yeah.
See, that kind of shit is what I'm talking about. Like, those kind of people. Shouldn't they be allowed to come here? That's how this thing got started. The real problem is that there's spots that suck. That's the real problem. It's like we were talking about, like, white privilege. The white privilege is not the problem. The problem is racism. If racism doesn't exist, then everyone's exactly the same. And then we're okay. And then we don't need to worry about white privilege. The real problem is you're not getting racist things thrown at you the way black people are. Yeah, for sure. But that's not the problem. The problem is racist things being thrown at black people. It's not that I don't get it.
Right.
It's that you get it.
Right.
And it's like to highlight the fact that it's not happening to me. I get what you're saying, but the real problem, I think it's a distraction. That the real problem is the racism itself. The real problem is when you see actual Nazis in 2018, 2019, actual ones, real ones. Like not just dressing up because they think it's a hoot. You know, I'm a rebel. I'm a fucking Hitler, bro. I got a piece of tape under my nose. There's some fucking people that aren't really Nazis, but they're dumb. Yeah. Right? But then you see a real Nazi in 2019. You're like, okay, that's real racism.
Yeah. Now, when they go into... like I was in Portland, and they said there's regular clashes. Like once a month, there's a demonstration, and it's either the alt-right having a demonstration, and then the what do they call them? The something fa Antifa show up, and they have regular fights, and it's fucking Nazis.
God damn.
Oregon's a fucked up state because it was originally there were no black people allowed in Oregon. Yeah. That's the you know, because now Portland is this very progressive,
super progressive,
but there's no black people there. So
there's a few, but
there are. It feels a little hollow though when you're there.
They're running shit.
I just did New Year's Eve shows there, and they were. It was
Mighty
fucking
white?
all white. It was all white. It was weird.
That is weird.
If I was black, I would go to Portland in a second. You'd have so many friends instantly. Everybody wants to high five you, have you over for dinner.